してたと嘆く
Welcome to Projection Reflection, where we reflect on old and new films. I'm your host, Coordinato, and today's review is The Incredibles 2. This movie was it was great. It was a well worth wait. 14-year wait, to be specific. This film picks up right after the first Incredibles film. We get to see the fight with the Underminer, who we see at the end of the first film. And what transpires from that fight is that it gets the government wants to finally just get rid of supers altogether. And what happens is that this company called DevTech, owned by a brother and sister, they want to, show superheroes in a more positive light. They want to bring back the supers because the brother, he's like a huge fan of superheroes, especially Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, and Frozone. The reason why he wants to do this is because his father was his father loved the superheroes, and he just wants to bring them back. And they think that Elastigirl is their best bet to bring supers back. Because they're like, we're going to try this with just one superhero and see what we can do. Because she's basically breaking the law while she's being a superhero, because supers are illegal. So what Mr. Incredible does is he takes over for the father, kind of like the motherly duties. He takes over being a parent. And I think some of the best parts of the film are actually with Mr. Incredible, because it shows that, like, being a parent is being a superhero too. Because being a parent, it's a hard job. It's a really hard job. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't have any kids, but from what I've seen with, like, my in-laws and from my own parents, like, it's a hard job. And it really, like, seeing some of the parts in this film with Mr. Incredible and his kids, it really let me feel like, hey, it really made me appreciate it made me look back and appreciate what my parents did for me as a kid, and how much they sacrificed and how much hard work they put into raising me. So that it made me think about those memories with my parents. So that's one of the highlights, I think, of the film, is the relationship that Mr. Incredible has with his children. The action scenes in this film are outstanding, especially like the scenes with Elastigirl. There's this cool train chase scene with Elastigirl, and she's got this bike called the Elasticycle, and that was freaking awesome. I loved the Elasticycle. I love that Elastigirl was kind of the forefront of the film when it came to the action, because she just had some amazing, like, parts in this film. And of course, another amazing, like, performance by Holly Hunter voicing Mrs. Incredible, aka Elastigirl. Oh man, what else can I say? The villain in this film, Screenslaver, like, he was okay. Like, not as good as, say, Syndrome in the first film, but he was alright. And his reason for doing what he did, it kind of reminded me of Killmonger a little bit from Black Panther. Like, you understood where the villain was coming from. It really, and you're like, oh yeah, I understand that. But it's like the same thing with Killmonger. Like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but you're doing the wrong thing to show your point of view. The voice cast, of course, was great in this film. Like I said about Holly Hunter, she was great as Elastigirl, and then Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible, and of course Frozone with Samuel L. Jackson as the voice, all great. I really, I think the only character that was changed was Dash. I think they changed the voice actor for Dash, but you could barely tell because it had the same. It really did sound the same. I loved that also in this film that you got to see more stuff with the kids. I feel like we didn't see the kids enough in the first film, and there's a lot of stuff with Violet going on in this film because of her, like, it's her, like, emotions when it comes to, like, boys, and she has a crush on this one boy, and she's having a really hard time with that, and Mr. Incredible's trying to help her with that, but he just, like, doesn't understand, and it's a really good, like, the whole movie story, like, just what it's got in it is good. Like, I loved, of course, it has the family dynamic again of the importance of family, and has, of course, the superhero action, and because it's neat, because back when the first Incredibles movie came out, that superhero movies weren't, like, extremely popular. I mean, Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins wasn't even out yet when the first Incredibles film came out. So superhero movies really weren't, like, big yet. But now we're in an era where superhero movies, we get one out, like, every year. And I love how this film, like, it's a superhero movie, but it's able to stand out amongst all those other superhero films. Like, it feels like the Marvel films are all like, it's the same thing, like, nothing really changes, there's nothing different. And with this, it feels like very different, very fresh, in an era where we just have tons and tons of superhero films. And I really like that about this film, and it could stand out amongst other superhero films. Man, what else can I say about this movie? Like I said though, I gotta say about the action scenes again. The action scenes in this film were just outstanding, and the animation to go with it was also great. Like, the animation, like, the way they updated, the way that they put so much detail into it this time. Like, I mean, it was detailed in the first one, but it was even more detailed now because it's been like 14 years, so animation has changed since then. And it looks so great. The movie looks just beautiful. Just the color design, the 60s, like, spy style. Like, I love that Brad Bird, who directed the film, also put a little nod to a show that he used to watch as a kid, which was Jonny Quest. And you see, like, a clip of Jonny Quest in the movie, and I really loved that because I like Jonny Quest, and because he kind of based the style a little bit off of that cartoon and cartoons from that 60s era. This movie, guys, it was really good. I think the only part that I was like, it was, the one part was okay was the villain. Like, the villain wasn't very good. And you know what they always say about superhero movies is that your superhero movie is only as good as your villain, which it wasn't true for this film. The heroes were good, but the villain was okay. Like, the heroes, I thought, were the best part of this film. Like, the whole Parr family, the Incredibles, they were the best part of the film. I just love just the family dynamic in these movies. I really hope that they at some point come out with a third one that takes place, like, in the future when Dash, Violet, and Jack are a little older. Like, I really hope that they make something like that at some point in the future. I mean, who knows? They might do it if Brad Bird thinks there's another story to tell with The Incredibles. But I highly recommend you guys go see this film. I give it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. That's what I give to this film. Like, I loved most of this film. I really did. I loved the animation. I loved the characters. I loved the action. I loved the story. But the villain kind of fell flat for me. Like, Screenslaver was okay, but he just wasn't as cool as Syndrome. So yeah, 4 out of 5. So yeah, go out to movie theaters, check this movie out while it's out there, and catch you later.